So we just got the Disney gallery for The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. I had been excited for this special for weeks, but I didn't know it was going to be this amazing. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was very emotional throughout the whole thing, and when Jon Favreau started talking about R2-D2, I just broke down and started crying. It was absolutely insane, and we learned so many new details. So with that said, in this video I want to highlight some of the key things that we learned and talk about them. I obviously won't be covering everything because the point of this video is just to discuss some big moments and what they mean overall. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. I want to start with Jon Favreau. I admired that man's talents many years before he even started working on a Star Wars project. I then loved him from the moment we saw what he could do as the showrunner for The Mandalorian, but now after this special, I love him even more. The way he talks about Star Wars is exactly the sort of person you want in charge of big projects going forward. What really stood out to me was the way he talked about sensitivity that you need to have as a creative because Star Wars means so much to so many people. Being respectful and careful when handling legacy characters matters above all else, and that could not be more true than for Luke Skywalker. He even mentioned how important consistency is when you're creative on a Star Wars project. And in this sense, he was talking about canon and continuity and how they matter in spite of what some people think. What this all translates to, at least in my mind, is that he respects the fans first and foremost. Throughout the documentary, he kept talking about how with every single detail that they added to the show, he wondered what the fans would think first. Dave Filoni might be the creative with the most Star Wars knowledge on that team, but both he and Jon Favreau know exactly what the fans expect when we're talking about quality, and they certainly know how to execute it. What was also really nice to see was how respectful Jon was towards others that he works with. It's very evident that The Mandalorian is a very collaborative process, and no matter who it was, he showed so much respect, whether he was talking about Kathleen Kennedy, the editing team, or even Peyton Reed, who was also fantastic in this special. And speaking of Peyton Reed, we got to see some behind the scenes of his process as the director of the Season 2 finale. So now moving on to the second thing that we learned from this documentary, Mark Hamill's passion and protectiveness over the character is huge. Luke Skywalker is his character, and I feel as though Mark feels towards Luke the same way that the fans do. In the documentary, we learned that he took a while reading the script through before agreeing to do it. I think he was very aware of the fact that this episode, The Rescue Chapter 16, could do some real justice to Luke Skywalker, and in the process make fans very happy. And this ties into my next point. Mark Hamill played a bigger role in the Season 2 finale than we thought. He wasn't just called in for advice as even he had thought, but they used him heavily in what they call the egg, which is part of the deepfake process, which took them a long time. The documentary on the whole spent a lot of time talking about CGI, deepfake and all of that stuff, and Jon Favreau even mentioned how they considered multiple ways to bring Luke back. And speaking of deepfake, what I thought was really cool and also responsible on the part of Jon Favreau was mentioning the risks that we face in the future of deepfake, when real videos are going to be indistinguishable from deepfaked ones. But going back to Mark Hamill, he was fully suited up as Luke, and they needed the double to mimic Mark Hamill's reactions so that the deepfake algorithm could pick up a pattern and combine faces, which eventually would result in the one that best resembled a young Luke Skywalker. They also mentioned how they spent hours collecting Mark Hamill interviews from around the internet, all of which were from around the time of the original trilogy, and this was to accumulate as many faces as possible for the very advanced algorithm. The next thing we learned, or rather was confirmed to us, was Plo Koon. In a Ming-Na Wen interview back in February, she mentioned how the cast and crew were told that Plo Koon would be the Jedi that showed up at the end. This of course was just code so that the secret of Luke Skywalker was not leaked, but it's very interesting why they chose Plo Koon in the first place, even if he was just used as a cover-up. Well, simply put, Plo Koon is Dave Filoni's favourite Jedi, which we also learned in this documentary, and that's super fascinating. As you guys know, I'm a huge prequels fangirl, and Plo Koon was always one of my favourite Jedi, so as you can imagine, this put a big smile on my face. They even went so far as creating a Plo Koon head to make it convincing, and I thought Peyton Reed's reaction to this Plo Koon thing was absolutely hilarious. The next thing we learned is pretty significant. According to Dave Filoni, Ahsoka Tano has superior saber skills to Luke Skywalker. This should not be too surprising. Dave Filoni created Ahsoka and he absolutely adores her as a character, so of course he's going to say that. But in universe, we also have to bear in mind the logistics, and they do make sense. Ahsoka had much more intricate training from a very young age, and Luke was trained during a weird time to be a Jedi, where the only survivors that he encountered were aging fast, and besides, Obi-Wan died in A New Hope, and Yoda died before Luke realized his full potential by the end of Return of the Jedi. And as Dave Filoni said, after Return of the Jedi, there wouldn't be too many people to help him enhance his saber skills. Now evidently going forward, The Mandalorian is going to explore the time period between episodes 6 and 7, and with Master Skywalker now in the picture, it could turn out that he does meet Ahsoka and she teaches him a thing or two. Don't get me wrong though, Luke is immensely skilled and powerful, but Ahsoka is in many ways his senior, and I'm not talking about just age. And on this whole subject, I really hope Ahsoka meets Luke. That would be absolutely amazing, because she could rest easy knowing what happened to Anakin and that in the end he was redeemed, because as of right now, she's not aware. The next thing we learned is that Luke Skywalker's voice was synthesized. It was not a Mark Hamill voiceover as many of us assumed. It's crazy how powerful and intricate the technology they used is, because they completely fooled me and I'm sure many other people. I genuinely thought it was Mark Hamill speaking. But in a similar algorithm to deepfake, they collected a bunch of voice clips from across the years and from the original trilogy and synthesized it all together. And finally, my dear friends, Jon Favreau's favourite character is R2-D2. And this made me love Jon even more, because when I was a young girl, R2-D2 was my favourite and remains the most personal character to me in the entire Skywalker saga. All in all though, this was my favourite behind the scenes special of anything Star Wars, probably since Revenge of the Sith. I was so focused watching it and the passion from the creatives exuded from my screen, and I was very in tune with them. Mark Hamill himself is absolutely amazing to listen to, and it brought me right back to last winter when The Mandalorian Season 2 was in full swing. Most of the Star Wars fandom was happy, and there was not yet any drama associated with the show. My nostalgia for something so recent has never been greater. And as I said at the start of this video, this exceeded my expectations. Absolutely phenomenal, 10 out of 10. But what did you guys think? Let me know your thoughts of this in the comments down below. Have you seen the Luke Skywalker special yet, and what did you think? If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe if you're brand new, and a huge welcome if you are. And also be sure to check out my Patreon, the link is down there in the description. And I also want to say before I go that later on we have Gamescom, where we get an exclusive new look at LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. And we could be getting some big announcements. It's been a game that's been heavily delayed, but we now finally should be getting a release date. But otherwise, my dear friends, I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.